Hey, this is Jonny Neeley, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I'm going to talk to you about how to block a volleyball. Again, one of the most important things for a blocker to do is to be ready. So ready position for a blocker, we want to make sure that the knees are bent. You want to make sure that your elbows are in, your hands are in front of your face, in between the net and your face. A blocker needs to be ready to move, either ready to move to their left, ready to move to their right. As soon as they see the setter set the ball is when they react. So the blocker is ready, in their ready position with their knees bent and elbows in. When they block, a blocker wants to make sure that they jump straight up and straight down. We don't want to drift from one direction to the other. As a blocker jumps, we want to make sure that they jump, shrug their shoulders to get optimal height, penetrate over the net, make sure that their hands are nice and big. When we block, we want to make sure that our hands are pointing to the middle of the court. A lot of times players on the opposing team will try to hit the ball into the blocker's hands to try to make it go out of bounds. So it's important for a blocker's hands to be a little less than ball width apart, facing the middle of the court on the opposing side. If a blocker has to move one way or the other, there's different footwork patterns. There's a few different patterns. I'm going to talk to you about two basic ones. First footwork pattern I want to talk to you about is the two-step shuffle. If a blocker is going to their left, they start with their left foot. If a blocker is going to the right, then they start with their right foot. If I'm blocking and I want to go to my left, the two-step shuffle, one step with the left, a closing step with the right, and the blocker will jump up. So a live look at that block would look like this. To the right, a two-step shuffle will look like this. If the set is pushed a little bit further out and a two-step shuffle isn't going to cover enough ground, blockers will utilize a swing blocking technique, which will generally use 3 steps. Again, a blocker will start with the foot of the direction they're going. If a blocker is going to the left, they start with their left foot, another step with the right, they're going to close with their left foot, they're going to jump up and block. Going to the right, a blocker will start with their right foot, again with the left, close with the right, jump up and block. A live look at that block would look something like this. To the right. Again, we don't want to drift from one way to the other because that takes out other blockers. It's important to jump straight up and down. I'm going to talk to you about how to pass or bump a volleyball. First thing you need to be concerned about when you pass a volleyball is to have a ready position. A lot of times we like to make sure that our knees are bent, our weight is on our toes, and we're ready to move forward. So that's the first thing that we need to be worried about. Once we have a ready position, we need to be concerned about what to do when the ball comes your direction. First, we need to make sure that we get our platform together. We need to make sure that our platform, we have our 4 fingers perpendicular to each other. Then we bring our thumbs so that our thumbs are parallel to each other. We don't want fingers sticking out. We just want to make sure that we have a nice, smooth wrists and hands, that our platform is together. Once we get our platform together and the ball is coming, we need to make sure that we keep our arms straight. Keeping your arms straight means not bending them like this, doing anything funky or crazy with your arms. It should look a lot like this. We'll do that one again. So now that we make sure that we have our nice solid platform, make sure we keep our arms straight, we want to make sure we face where the ball is coming from, and then we're going to angle the platform. So instead of moving our body or moving our platform and ending up facing our target, we let our platform do the work. We do that by dropping our shoulder and putting our weight on our foot that's going towards the target. Should look something like this. So once we can remember those things to do, we should be able to be an effective passer. Make sure we keep our platform together, keep our arms straight. We'll face the ball and then angle our arms to the target. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to serve a volleyball. For those who are just beginning, learning how to serve, a lot of times servers will utilize the underhand serve. Server will hold the ball in their non-dominant hand out in front of their body. They'll create a fist with their other hand. A lot of times a player will try to hit the ball on their palm, nice flat spot on their hand, dropping the ball slightly before contact is made. For those who can serve overhand, the proper technique to serve overhand, a player will hold the ball in one hand, again their non-dominant hand, out in front of them. This is all part of the ready position. Similar to hitting, a server wants to make a bow and arrow, toss the ball 2 to 3 feet high out in front of their body. As the server steps and swings through, they contact the ball with the harsh, strong surface of their hand right here to try to create a float serve. Server will get in the ready position. Float serve should look something like this. There are a couple other types of serves that I want to touch on briefly. One is a jump float serve. A jump float serve, a server will utilize a 4-step approach. The whole time they're keeping the net square to their body. A right-handed server is going to take a step with their right, a step with their left. They're going to toss with 2 hands, elbows bent to help control the accuracy of the toss. After the ball is tossed, they'll step again with their right and their left foot, jump and contact the ball, try to float serve. It'll look something like this. Last serve I want to talk about is a topspin serve or a jump serve. Again, the server will make a 4-step approach. Generally, a server will need about 15 or 20 feet to effectively utilize this serve. The server will take 4 steps, with the first coming at the same time as the toss. Server will step, toss, and finish with left, right, left. This approach is really similar to a hitter who would be spiking a volleyball. A top spin serve or a jump spin serve should look like this. Again, this is Jonny Neeley, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City, talking to you about how to serve a volleyball. I'm going to talk to you about how to set a volleyball. First thing we need to be concerned about is the shape that we make with our hands. We want to make a shape with our hands that looks just like a ball. So if the ball were to be put in your hands, that's the shape that your hands should look like. As a setter, or when you set the ball, you want to make sure that you're setting the ball right above your forehead so that if the ball came through your hands, it would hit you on the head. A setter should take the ball about right here, right above their head. Finally, a setter needs to worry about, after they set the ball, they need to push through and extend, almost like they're flying like Superman. Extend those arms, legs, body, and finish square to your target. I want to show you a few live sets. There we have a few sets where I focus on my shape, where I'm taking the ball on my forehead, pushing through, and finishing square to my target. This is Jonny Neeley, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City, and we just talked about how to set a volleyball. I'm going to talk to you about how to spike a volleyball. First thing a hitter needs to be concerned about when they hit a volleyball is their footwork. They need to make sure that they're making the right footwork so that they can hit the ball the same every single time. There are a couple different types of footwork in volleyball. There's a 3-step and 4-step approach. I just want to discuss the most basic, which is a 4-step approach. When a hitter makes a 4-step approach, a right-handed hitter takes their first step with their right foot, followed by their left foot. Then their last 2 steps goes right, left. Your steps get quicker as you go, and the steps get bigger as you go. So a 4-step approach should look something like this. Right, left, right, left. The second thing a hitter needs to be worried about as they're taking their approach is what to do with their arms. So as a hitter's taking their approach, they need to make sure that their arms swing back right before they jump to maximize the optimal jumping ability of that particular player. When the players take their steps of their approach, the first 2 steps, they don't need to be doing anything with their arms. They can have their arms straight down by their side. As they're taking their 3rd and 4th step, the arms need to be coming back. And on the 4th, the arms explode through as the player jumps. The arms should look something like this. The third thing a player needs to be worried about as they're taking their approach is what to do with their arms. A lot of times we like to tell players to make their arms look like a bow and arrow. When a player makes a bow and arrow, we like to make sure that they have their offhand or their left hand for a right-handed hitter reach as high as they can, which again optimizes the amount of torque that the body can get. It's a good guide hand for your right hand as you're swinging through. So the bow and arrow, as you get up to take your approach, should look a little bit like this. The last thing a hitter needs to be worried about when they swing and hit the ball is where to place the ball. A hitter can do a few things when they spike the volleyball. A lot of times a player will hit line, which is where they make their bow and arrow. You swing and you hit straight in front of your body or right down the line. Another thing a player can do is make their bow and arrow and hit cross court, which means they're cutting the ball away from their body. This is Jonny Neeley, volleyball coach here in Salt Lake City. I just talked to you about how to spike a volleyball.